Alvaro Gomez, also known as Alvaro Gou. You're really, for me, like one of the most inspirational people that I've met.
Success and money it has such a gravity force that it's very easy to fall into and getting that wow effect from others, and it can be never ending. I think I was addicted to that wow. There is a moment that you have to sit down and say, okay, my wow depends on my internal admiration.
We are always going to have the light and the shadow at the same time, and we kind of need that contrast. It's part of the human experience, and actually the only reason I can appreciate the beauty is because I understand the pain.
It's super clear, like you can observe in your life who are the people that you feel that they are more happier, like who feel emotionally more in peace and happier. And what I observe, like most of the things are pretty simple, such as, for example,
you start to realize that security does not come from monetary success or other people approving of me and thinking I'm good enough, which makes me feel safe. It doesn't come from that. It actually comes from my ability to show myself that I can step out of my comfort zone, try new things, take risks, and
that bring me one of the most important lessons, that was I don't need to be an adult to do incredible things. Like I can do it even being a kid, because I saw adults looking to me and thinking like, how did you do it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Being really surprised.
There is this hypertension that is always in the background, and on the surface you may feel like, yeah,
it's sunny.
I'm really happy, it's sunny, it's great, but deep down inside, you're so afraid of the clouds coming that you can never really let your guard down. You've never experienced that before. It's almost like, I'm gonna die, this is so painful. But then you, over time, slowly, move past it. If you hear this conversation and there's a part of you that has resistance, that's a huge sign.
The things are quite simple.
But we like to make it complicated. The resource of love is like an unlimited resource, and you can give that love to anybody.
Escaping that capitalistic notion that you always need to have more or to be more.
People often look at the finished product of things and kind of just assume, oh, I need to get to there.
Why can't these animals that we share the same lineage with share the same similar experience?
Acceptance of the self.
Yeah.
From the moment we're born to the moment we die, that's one of the main driving forces of existence.
Only constant in life is that things change. I knew that it was never going to be the same.
Inner Freedom Podcast, hosted by Olivia, Chevallier.
Hello, we are doing a podcast together, finally.
We talked about this ages ago. I need to put my phone away.
I have to say that I am not trying to be naked, but my pants are quite open on the side. So it could be that at some point, look, I show all my leg here.
We're both having a similar kind of split down the middle outfit going on today. Yeah, we can rotate.
Yeah.
So, Alvaro Gomez, also known as Alvaro Gou. Yeah, I mean, I actually always thought your name was Alvaro Gou until like recently when I started sending posts to your house. And I was like, oh, it's actually Gomez.
It's my artistic name.
Yeah, it's your stage name. Yeah, you're really, for me, like one of the most inspirational people that I've met on this island, let alone this planet, since we came here, like, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago almost that we met. You're just constantly surprising me with the way your mind works. The fact that you've been like a successful business owner of like multiple different businesses in like the kind of tech space and like crypto, like you're super knowledgeable on so many different topics. Like, and you haven't gone to university, you haven't studied to become like an engineer and like gone into the corporate life that way. You were born to be an entrepreneur from like day one. And you can see how much passion you have for just creating business and creating ideas and playing with ideas. And yeah, that's something that's always just really inspired me about you, is just from day one, I saw like how you're such a dreamer, but you actually get stuff done as well. You're not just dreaming, you're also acting. But you also have this really playful, easygoing, charismatic energy that just like fills the room with fun whenever you're around. And yeah, it's never a boring day when Alvaro is around.
I'm going to get red. This is going to be red.
I mean, well, I get people on this podcast because they inspire me. That's the only reason I ask someone to come here. And you've inspired me from the beginning. Like, you're one of my closest friends in the world. I'm super grateful that we've connected. And I feel like I'm a better person. I'm a better entrepreneur. I'm more confident in myself because of the friendship that we have. And like above everything else, I really think that it's so important that when we have high IQ capacity, that we also have a high EQ, emotional intelligence, to match. And you have such a high emotional intelligence, the way that you handle conflicts and disagreements, the way you communicate about your needs. You're also like super emotionally intelligent. And it's beautiful to see someone who's really just getting everything so beautifully aligned. And to see that you're creating a life for yourself that's free and fulfilling, you know, walking away from just chasing money and stuff and trying to find balance. So yeah, you inspire me a lot. Super grateful to have this conversation with you finally.
What an introduction! Oh my god, I feel right now like in heaven. Probably I will not match 50% of what she said.
No,
she's putting the
come on,
expectations
he's
very
being
high.
humble.
Let's try.
Yeah, I mean, the introduction is like just scraping the surface for me. So I guess it's good to start these conversations just so the audience can get to know you a little bit. I would love to know, what is it for you that was like the key process that got you from being like an 18-year-old you was 18 when you started your first business, right?
Yeah, my first startup.
Yeah.
Business with 12.
Were you always an entrepreneur?
Always.
12 years old, you had your first business.
Yeah.
What was the business?
Doing logos. I was doing logos and like branding. I started doing that for the company of my dad, and later for my uncle, and later for other people, and many other bullshit. I tried to do everything on the internet. I was such an spammer. I was doing the worst things on the internet to make $1, you know.
What were you doing?
Every type of things, like selling fake controllers for PlayStation, for example, in eBay. I did that very good, and for ranking high, I was sending traffic from China. So eBay algorithm thought that I have a lot of traffic in the products. I don't know, doing spamming forums for promoting products. I have thousands of fake accounts in 20. That 20 was like Facebook of Spain at that time, for promoting parties, selling t-shirts of Nike on these groups. I don't know, so many things. Poker, trading, many things.
Wow.
I was such a nerd. And I continue being a nerd. Actually, on the side of you, we can see the computer there on that side. Yeah. I'm very proud of that.
We're actually in your house right now. So yeah, this beautiful setup is thanks to you. The perks of being a traveling podcaster. That's crazy that from like 12 years old, you're just creating, something's kind of cheeky, like kind of scammy, but creating things that are opportunities to make money and just play with ideas, right?
Completely.
But where do you think that comes from for you? Is that innate, or is it something that you learned from seeing somewhere?
Look, I will answer you specific that, but you make such an introduction for me that I just want to say thank you for inviting me here. For me, it's such a pleasure to participate on this. You know, also I love creating content, but I love creating content with you. And you have inspired me so much. Probably the people that they follow you and they see you, you inspire them also. You have such a powerful creative mind and such a smart brain. For me, you inspire me in many ways, but one of the most having always your way of communicating. I think you communicate excellent. And you can feel that in your way of relating. And for me, you inspire me when we met at the beginning to learn how to love in an open way. You were like my door to poly love, you know. I know right now it's different, but at that moment you were really inspiring me a lot into that and giving me a lot of advice. You have been also such a support in my relationship, literally. Like she was like having a personal coach for me and for my partner. And that brings me so much value into my life, so I really appreciate that. And yeah, in general, your way of communicating, I always learn a lot about how you communicate, how positive you communicate, how articulate you are. And every time I talk with you, I always get something. I will get something. So yeah, thank you for inviting me here. And the question that you are saying, no, what if I always have that?
Yeah, where did it come from? This, but thank you, by the way.
No, please.
The co-introduction. I appreciate it. No one's ever done that for me before, so thanks. I appreciate it. First time on the podcast that someone's given me an introduction back. Thank you. But yeah, so where did it come from for you, though?
Yeah.
This curiosity to explore business and entrepreneurship.
Okay. So first I will say that I would not consider that was since the beginning for me. until I was 8, my parents thought that I was dumb, like quite stupid, like
Really?
low IQ and very like
Why?
yeah. I didn't talk too much. I didn't cry too much. I almost didn't do nothing too much. You know, I was just like watching TV and being like a very passive kid. And my parents really thought that I was like a little bit special. It's not a joke. It's
Wow.
real. It's real.
I'm so surprised by this.
Yeah. It was not very. I didn't have a lot of energy neither. And I think that at that stage I was observing a lot. And when I was 8, a magician came to we were doing like a Christian party because I have Christian education. I was receiving for the first time God, even though now I am not Christian. But we were doing that celebration and a magician came to my house, and that day something wake up on me. I can't explain what I saw that magician doing magic. And I was like, wow.
Crazy.
You know, he was bringing like birds from the
jacket.
The jacket. And really showing him doing that illusion to other people and seeing the reaction of other people to him and within myself, I was like, wow, I really want to do that. And magic was my portal to extreme curiosity.
Interesting.
To mathematics, to science,
Magic.
to communication, public speaking. It was magic.
Wow.
It was magic, and I think it continued being one of my fundamental essence. I love magic. And thanks to that, I start like studying things because I am passionate about. I start like getting more discipline because for magic you have to practice a lot by yourself and later a lot in public. You have to practice also communication. Communication is so difficult in magic compared with other ones because
Why?
Because right now what I am telling is what it is. But in magic I am always hiding something.
True.
That creates such like you are always on the edge of being catched. And at the same time I was doing magic to adults. And that brings me one of the most important lessons of my life. Now I'm 29, so now I am an adult, almost 30. But bring me one of the most important lessons that was I don't need to be an adult to do incredible things. Like I can do it even being a kid because I saw adults looking to me and thinking like, how you did it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Being really surprised. And that clicked something on me, like a self-confidence on my capacity of doing things with adults without needing to wait. I think that's why I was very confident later, early in my professional career also. And also, this is part, but the other part is that my parents, they have been always super supportive to any of the curiosities or passions that they want to explore.
That's amazing.
Maximum
Yeah,
support.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
You need that.
Yeah. My dad is also an entrepreneur. My mom is a very good professional. So in my home is almost like a startup accelerator. Really. Like having dinner in my home is like going to Shark Tank, trying to promote your idea. It's crazy. Like, it's literally like that. We are always talking about new ideas, new opportunities. Sometimes even too much. This creates also a lack of other things that maybe we will touch later, no? But it creates a lack of many other things. But for sure that ignite in me the belief, like the last email that I have from my dad, the last quote is, Alvaro, whatever you dream, you can do.
Wow.
You know, and this is something that I have it from my parents always. Always. My dad is such an example for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful that you had like a start and an environment that allowed you the space to be curious and to explore curiosity.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing that's missing for a lot of children in the modern world. I think a lot of us go to school and we kind of get taught how to think and what to think, and we're also in an environment where our parents are very afraid of us, you know, failing in life. And I think often kids get a lot of pressure from their parents to follow a path that feels safe and guaranteed. Yeah. And in the process, their curiosity to explore something like magic might not be encouraged as much. But it's interesting how you don't realize how something like, you know, maybe some parents would see their kid doing magic and think, oh, he's just having fun, it's just a phase. But then actually that was the catalyst that helped you to start becoming an entrepreneur and running businesses where you're making like $1 million or something in revenue, wasn't it? Or more.
Yeah, per month.
Yeah, it's crazy. And because of that small moment of waking up in some way and curiosity being ignited in a different way, it's like you were just collecting all this data but you're like, also, what's the point? What's the point of all this? And then as soon as you see the magic, it's like, this is cool. This is something I want to explore. And I love that your parents didn't make you feel like that was stupid. They actually let you have the space to explore that. And I wish more kids would have that opportunity.
Me too.
I think we would have a world full of way more creative people, way freer people as well, if we had that. Yeah.
And I will give you even an extreme example. And I think this talk about our parents and about ourselves, but I will love that other kids and us, we have this type of parents. I'm very lucky with my parents. Like, I'm so grateful. I'm so lucky with them. Thank you, mom. Thank you, dad. You are fucking amazing. And the thing is that even there was some moment that I thought they were challenging. For example, in my inn, they were bringing me to a school to learn magic. And they were investing. Like every weekend we spent
interesting.
Like a few €100 per month at least. In treats and secrets and lessons. And after 1 year or two, like I invest quite a lot. And they always did it for me. And at some point I say, no.
I don't want to do it anymore.
I don't want anymore. Now I want computers. And soon, later I got a computer.
But how did they deal with that when you decided to drop something that you were investing so much in?
That's what I mean. That I think others will be like, Alvaro, and now that you are here, you should continue. And they allow me always to change and to support me. I think that also have some consequences because, I think nowadays we have always this pressure of focusing on something, especially on the internet. If you want to make a living on the internet, you have to find your niche and to be very specific, no?
Yes.
And if you play guitar, become the best on the guitar. And you cannot play 20
you
instruments.
Have to be known for just that one thing.
Yeah.
And
that was never my case. In my house, it was allowed to explore anything. And now, I have been, maybe this happened to you, I'm curious to know also, like, this is not for every human, but I think some humans, we have this quality of being multi-potential.
Yeah, multi-potentialites.
Yeah. And it's a quality that if you have it, it's unstoppable.
It's unstoppable.
It's unstoppable. They can tell you to be in one box.
It's impossible.
Fucking impossible.
It's impossible. I resonate so much. I think this is one of the reasons that I felt so connected to you so fast. And also, we actually have the same human design profile, just saying. I still haven't done a reading for you. But it is fascinating. Yeah, we won't talk about it. It's not important. But it's interesting because I'm exactly the same as you in that. As a kid, my mom was amazing. She let us also try loads of different things. We did like piano and golf and horse riding and guitar and singing and ballet and this and that. And we had like a million different things that we'd be doing every week. And we would explore it. They would invest time and energy. But then as soon as one of us was like, yeah, we don't want to do this anymore, they'd be like, okay, are you sure? Yeah, okay, cool. Next thing. And yeah, I'm also the same. Like, I love to do jiu-jitsu. I love to do music. I love to do videography and artwork and coaching and breathwork and
singing.
And
playing the ukulele.
Yeah, many things. Many things. And dancing and cooking. And I actually think there is a part of all humans that has this capacity to be multi-potential. But we're living in a world that's very binary and wants us to be like, you are an expert in this one thing. This is your one gift. This is the one thing that you should pursue for your whole life. And it's kind of a shame because I think that the magic really happens when we have these multiple disciplines that we start merging together. Like, I really believe that everything that you do informs everything else that you do. So if you're good at like singing, then if you decide to be a coach and go and do public speaking at some point, you're going to be better at that because you've overcome the stage fright. You know how to project your voice. You know how to command the room. If you're good at doing art, then you're going to be good at creating graphics for your website and understanding different aspects. So I think the different stuff that we do is always informing all of our different goals. And being multi-potential, it's, for me also, I can't turn it off.
Yeah.
When I've tried to just be streamlined, I get frustrated.
Did you struggle in your life for trying to be multi-potential and somehow because of social pressure or a coaching business or trying to overfocus?
Yeah. When I was doing, when I was corporate product design, we actually had like a day, like a team bonding day where we did like motivation styles and we kind of like went around and talked about different things that motivate us. And one of the tables had this thing that was like success, and we had to write down what success was to us. And I wrote down for me that like success was to be able to pursue the many different avenues of interest and to have successful businesses in multiple places. Nice. Getting a bit wet there. For those who are just listening, just spilt water all over himself. So the difference between doing podcasts with someone who's like a best friend and just someone you've just met, it's way more easy.
Success
Yes.
for you is pursuing everything you want to.
Yeah, being able to fulfill my potential. And like my potential is not just product design or coaching or whatever. And one of the guys that I was working with, he was like the finance guy, and he was like 60. And he read that and he was like, you know, it's impossible that you're going to be successful in anything if you're chasing so many different things. And I just said, watch me. I just said, watch me. I'm going to do it. Like maybe for you it's impossible, but for me, I don't feel limited like this. And I hate that that's the narrative in our culture. It's like you have to pick something, otherwise you're going to fail.
I think there is a solution.
What's the solution?
Because, and actually it's very connected with one of the things that we want to share today. There is a possible solution.
Okay, hit me.
Yeah.
Change the world.
Because first, this is not for everyone. Like there may be some people, like, I don't know, Paco de Lucia, that they like to play the guitar.
And that's his love, his
8
one
hours
passion.
or 12 hours
Or
per
Jimi
day.
Hendrix. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. We need these people.
Yeah, agreed.
Keep doing. More vertical people.
Yeah.
You know? But the thing is that if you want also to be, because for example, if you are horizontal, if you have multiple skills or talents, in a company or in a group setting, you can already bring value by being a connector.
Yeah.
If you, like, it's very needed to have knowledge of different areas. For example, engineering and biology, and then you design a plane because you are observing the birds. And having horizontal knowledge is very important for creative people because you can connect the dots, like Steve Jobs said. No? But also, I struggle a little bit. That makes sense in a group setting because other people can later help you with making that idea vertical. So you are more like a generator of ideas or connecting things. But when you are trying to do the things by yourself, then I struggle a little bit more. Like sometimes I was thinking like, fuck, I should be more focused on something.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, and my approach now, and I told you I recommend you one guy that is called Naval. You can check it on Twitter, and you have the Almanac of Naval. And one Twitter thread that is called How to be rich without being lucky. Is fucking good. And one of the things he explained several times is that for finding your niche or your unique value proposition, you can become a niche of one. A niche of one is that there is no one like you.
Yeah.
There is nothing more unique than that.
Totally.
No one like you. And for doing so, overlapping your curiosity. So instead of seeing them like independent instances or areas where you have like your singing or creativity, visual that you're also paying, but you also have your communication skills, for example, and you have your relationship skills or whatever. Like instead of seeing that as different things, trying to find that overlap between them, and when you start overlapping, you are overlapping red with green with yellow, you start to find a unique spot. It's such a weird combination, you know? And that weird combination is you to the maximum. And in that way, you can become like very specific without chasing a vertical. But you are stacking.
Yeah, you're stacking your different multiple sides. That's cool.
Instead of being vertical in one area, you stack all your different areas in a way that create like some type of vertical that makes you unique. And I think that works because also that is fluid.
Yes.
That is something that can be evolving over time. So you don't have that fear of compromising or committing.
Yes.
I have to do like this forever.
Yes.
You can continue during your life, adding layers and maybe subtracting layers because now you don't resonate with something that you were doing in the past. And for doing a personal brand or something like that, I think that's super cool.
I think so as well. And you look at some people who are kind of already doing this. Okay, whatever you think about them, it doesn't really matter too much. But like Gary Vee, for example, this guy, like, what does he even do? It doesn't really matter. He does everything. He films his life. He goes on like tours to different places. Like I've never really watched his content, but I know that he's someone who doesn't really have a niche, and he has millions and millions of followers and huge success in all the stuff he's doing. And yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know too much about it, so don't quote me. But I'm pretty sure like Mr. Beast started doing one thing, and now he does like games and stuff. And like there are a couple personalities out there where they kind of have done this sort of merging process where they have a very unique value proposition, a very unique niche, where they don't really fit into a box that anyone else fits into. And I think there is something really special about that, because it also, like you said, there's a bit of a pressure that comes, I found at least, when I pick one thing. Like when I decided product design or I decided art, I started to get really stressed out. Like, oh my God, is this my life forever? Am I stuck here now? This is me. And it's funny because I think for some people, this feeling of like, yeah, this is me forever, that's not scary. But for some reason, for some people, it is scary, the idea of being only this one thing forever. It's almost like we're polyamorous, but for business, you know? Like with our lifestyle, we want to have like a poly lifestyle that has multiple different facets. Otherwise, we start to feel like this one job and this one career path cannot give me everything I need. And I need to have multiple different avenues. I think for someone like that, if that is you, that's a really great way to kind of ikagai your way, right? And that's a process that you've been going through recently a lot in the last, is it a year since you left Melbourne? Because you came to Melbourne to stay with us for a bit.
Yeah, since I started my Ikigai process, finding my Ikigai, April, like really focusing on that, April 2024, so not even 1 year now.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I have been my whole life trying to find my way of being financial free and at the same time having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And location independence.
I really want to talk about the Ikigai, but I first want to give a bit more context for the listeners.
Okay.
So just to give a bit of context to like your history with business, because it's very obvious just from this conversation, you're very entrepreneurially minded. But I'd love to hear a little bit just about some of the, like the key projects that you've worked on that have been very impactful. Because you were reaching like $1 million in revenue per month at one point. And you walked away from that to pursue this lifestyle now. So I'd love to know, what was the transition of that from like creating businesses like that and then the decision to walk away? I'd love to hear about that story a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I will say first of all, like I was the co-founder of these projects, not the CEO. As a CEO, I never achieved 1 million of revenue. As a co-founder, yes. So I don't want to take full ownership of that.
That's okay, but you're a part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Co-founder is your half, right?
And actually that was my responsibility.
Yeah.
Like I was doing marketing and sales, so my goal was to increase the revenue. That was my KPI.
Just as a quick one before you tell me, just because I'm curious, in the co-foundership, what do you think was different between you doing it on your own and having a co-foundership that made it so successful? Before we go into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's so different when you have a team. When you are also emotionally, it's very different to create a company when you are multiple founders. Decision making, managing up and downs, the roller coaster of emotions. Because maybe you are down, but the other two are up. They are in a high emotional state, so it's easier to be above the water. I think that when you are just by yourself, you can break down easily. And that's why also Y Combinator or any accelerator, they always look for between 2 to 4 founders. Is the idea. It's more balanced. It's more balanced, and especially if you bring people with different qualities. Like one maybe is the visionary, but the other one is the technical, and the other one is one know how to see the future, the other one know how to sell, and the other one know how to win. Oh my God, you have there a perfect team.
You're bringing the trifecta.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. And it's also interesting because you said earlier that being a multi-potentialite, you can see how when you're in a team, it's very easy to exercise that multi-potential energy. But then as a, singular person, you're having to do that and also do all the different jobs. So it becomes maybe more difficult to balance everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, actually, being multi-potential is super cool for the early stage of a startup.
Yeah.
Because in the early stage, you have to do everything. And at some point, it's not so useful when the startup is becoming more mature. Actually, this was one of the reasons why I leave. But yeah, to make it in a nutshell, like in terms of my professional career, what the thing that the maximum I get was In total, I raised from my companies around 7-8 million euros
Wow.
of capital, private capital. Also, in terms of countries, we have been delivering services physically or digitally in more than 23 countries. In downloads, I don't know, a few millions. In terms of revenue, with Lola Market, that was the most successful company we do grocery delivery. We were doing 1 million per month.
Wow.
And we were the number 1 of Spain in grocery delivery.
Wow, that's crazy.
That was super cool. Super
That's
cool.
amazing. Yeah. Wow.
And we get even the recognition of the third best strategy on marketing in our country. My mom was so proud that
That's my son.
yeah. And well, the thing is that at some point, after doing all that, because I was obsessed.
Like
I
you were
was-
working 24/7.
Yeah, I was working all the time. Like I was not a normal kid.
And how old were you at this point?
21, but I started with 18. So I was full focus since 18.
Wow.
And that's why I quit my engineer degree in computer science. The thing was, I was very passionate. I was working a lot, but also emotionally I was fuck.
Oh, really?
I was fuck. Not like depressed all the time. For me, it was like more like some type of bipolarity. Like I have moments of extreme euphoric, and some moments of being very depressed and super social anxious, freezing completely in some points, not being able to be with my friends. And emotionally, my life was too extreme. And then I was feeling in general good, but with these extreme swings. And at some point I was like, bro, something's happening in you. Like, this is not about the money, you know, like really you need an internal change. And at that point I decided to quit. Even though I quit my position in the company and also the equity I have. Because I need to be there 6 months extra to save my equity. That at the moment was quite a lot of money. And I decided not to because I was emotionally so unstable.
Wow.
So I said like, no, I need to quit.
That must have been a really hard decision.
It was, but that also was unstoppable. Like it was so extreme, the emotions that I was feeling, that I felt like I will die.
Wow.
You know, it was very weird internally, and at the same time you're having success and people is telling you cool things, but you're feeling so bad. It was weird, and I was feeling bipolar, and I thought, Alvaro, you have been developing professionally for the last years. It looks like it's time to develop emotionally and spiritually. Something have to change. So I quit, and I started traveling.
Wow. And that was 5 years ago?
That was in now 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Wow.
And then I start traveling. And the moment I start traveling, and I did a Vipassana also
Vipassana's
in Thailand.
7 days meditation,
Yeah.
silent meditation.
9 days silent meditation.
9 days, wow.
And after that Vipassana, it was so clear. I mean, I didn't have any answer. No answers.
Yeah, you told me this before and I was like, oh, really?
Yeah, no answers, but clarity. I was clean in my mind. And I just realized, like, I want to continue traveling, I want to continue taking care of myself. And I realized also that I am a person with, maybe this happened to anyone that is watching this, no? I am a person with extreme curiosity, cool. I'm a person with a lot of passion, cool. And my main motivation for doing all that and not respecting the signs of my body that was exploding physically, exploding emotionally, with all the buttons of alarm press, was my extreme need to be seen as successful, as smart, and to be above others. And as a man, I wanted to achieve that role of proving others that I am better, you know, and bigger. And becoming a millionaire, having a super successful company worldwide, and then proving to my dad that I am smart, you know, and to the rest of the world. And that was a big part of my motivation, was fulfilling my ego. And at the moment I realized that, little by little, I start to change.
That's amazing. I mean, you touched on so many things that I want to ask more questions on.
Please.
First, it's super interesting because, you know, this process of like becoming super successful, it's interesting to hear that for the first 7-8 years of your life, your parents considered you to be dumb, maybe. And there's part of me that wonders, and there's no way for us to really know, but I wonder if your young self got the sense that your parents were worried that you were dumb. And they, maybe they thought, like, you thought, oh, they think I'm dumb, or maybe you didn't think about it.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that feeling from your parents created in some way that pressure to prove that you're smart. I don't think it's so much like necessarily just about your parents thinking you're dumb, but Gabor Mate talks about this a lot, how we have these like small t traumas in our lifetime when we're very young, and we, as a kid, like we notice little things in our parents' behavior or the way that other kids treat us or the way that society says something about us, and we start to create this vision of our worth, of our worthiness of being loved. And I think a lot of us either have this, you know, this fear of not being enough or a fear of being too much, right? And I think for a lot of kids when they're young, they start to, if they have successful parents especially, we can start to get this feeling of like, I'm not enough. But also, I think in some ways the same pressure that creates a poor man is the same pressure that can also create a millionaire, depending on the context of your life. And I think it's very interesting when I look at myself, when I look at many people I know, and I look at you, how like these little subtle dynamics in our childhood probably had an influence on why we felt the need to prove in some way our value through success. And it's a combination. It's not just from your parents. I think it's also just the way everybody is, wow, like gratifying you. Like as a kid, you started doing magic and you started to notice like, oh, the adults are amazed by me.
Yeah.
And there's this kind of feeling of like, it's like the hierarchy is being reversed in some way in that moment. And it's kind of, you get, I mean, I don't know about you, but I got very attached to being very young and being perceived as being way smarter than my age. I had such an attachment to that. Like when I was 18 and I went to the first like coaching seminar that I got invited to, I was the only 18-year-old there. Everyone else was like women in their 40s and 30s. And I was the first one on the stage. I was the first one doing all the techniques and applying all the stuff. And I got really attached to this being the smart one, the one that was way more mature than my age. And I think that identity is kind of addictive at some point because the validation we get is so powerful. And it kind of rectifies some feeling of not enoughness that was created as a child. Do you think that the mental illness that you're experiencing of like having this kind of almost bipolar type experience, do you think that was because of the pressure of being so young and so successful, or do you think it was unrelated or a combination?
I think what you're pointing is super accurate. In my case, what I learned, I mean, if I observe my dad had this need of proving himself and proving others. And actually, he's continued working a lot, and he's 65, and he's doing an amazing company, super successful company. You can check it. It's called Scoobic, like
Scooby? Scoobic.
Yeah.
Nice.
SCOOBIC. I'm also partner of that company.
Cheeky plug.
Yeah, I will get. You want an electric motorbike for delivery? Check Scoobic. But yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing what he's doing. Like, really. He's doing a factory of electric motorbikes and cars.
Wow.
In Spain. We are the first ones. And the thing is that I think is you know when they say generational trauma, he teach me so many things, but some of them they were also more toxic, you know, and it's my challenge, my mission to heal that. And so I got that. It is an incredible fuel for rockets. You can become a rocket with that fuel, but it's also very hot.
Very hot.
Very hot. And you will burn yourself.
Yeah,
you know? So,
it requires a lot of resources.
And also, and it can be never ending. It can be never ending. And I think thanks to having the exposition to him, I learned this need of proving, or just finding happiness by materialistic growth and entrepreneurship success that is related with power, money, and intelligence. And getting that wow effect from others, because in this society, you, like as a man, you will get more wow from people if you have this type of success, you know, more than if you're a hippie and you're not doing nothing. They will say that you are lazy. So I think I was addicted to that wow and trying to find that as a way of, like a drug, no? And you're looking for that all the time, without understanding that it's your internal wow within yourself, like how wow are you with you.
Yeah.
That it can be more flat and more continuous, and then for achieving that, there is a moment that you have to sit down and say, okay, my wow depends on my internal admiration, and my internal admiration depends on my internal values. So what are my values? And for example, if you're having a lot of success but your values is honesty, and for achieving that you are not being honest, or one of your values is generosity, and you're feeling you are being selfish, or one of your values is relationships and love, and you feel you are disconnected more and more from your friends and your loved ones, even though everyone around say wow wow wow, you don't have your internal wow.
You feel empty. Yeah.
You feel empty. And that, I think there is for sure always a space for loving unconditionally ourselves and without the need of proving nothing to ourselves. But at the same time, I think it's very important to be aligned with who we are and what we value.
I agree.
And when you sit down and you have some time, because that is a voice that maybe for some people, like for me, was almost in silent for many years, or I was not allowing that to manifest. So it pauses, it becomes lower and lower. When you sit down and you start checking that, you start to see, and you start exploring other things, and other people, other cultures, you realize like, maybe what I was doing was not so aligned. Maybe there is something that is not for me here. And so now that's what I'm looking for. Like this is, now my life is all about being authentic, the more and more authentic possible, being more myself. And success and money it has such a gravity force, the same that sex or pressure or food, that is very easy to fall into.
Yeah.
It's something that is good to have in some doses, but it's very easy to get like,
it can become addictive.
It is.
It's like more, and
it is.
I have so many people that I've met in my life throughout my whole life who are in this sphere of like highly successful, and there's a hunger there that's like almost insatiable. And I think it's so, if we have that hunger for more when it comes to success and money without having the deeper why, then I think we start to lose ourselves in the process. And even in the beginning, I feel like we can catch ourselves in this dynamic in the beginning when we're just dreaming about it. We get so attached to what it would feel like to be rich, to be successful, to be admired, that we start to forget our why. And in the process, we start to compromise ourselves to create that outcome. Maybe we compromise our lifestyle, maybe we compromise our health, maybe we compromise our relationships, the things that really matter to us, our passions, because we become so obsessed with this one tunnel view of, I will be a millionaire. And I've seen many people who get there, they become millionaires and they're no longer the person that they were before they started. They've kind of lost that inner glow a little bit because they've had to compromise so much of themselves in order to chase this insatiable hunger. And even then they still want more. I met some people who are millionaires, they still want more.
For sure.
And I asked them why, and they're just like, I want to do this. This is my vision. But then I asked, why do you have this vision? They don't know. They don't know why. So how do you find your why? You're in the process of finding your why right now, right?
Yeah, I would say even about the why is one thing, but also sometimes there are some analysis for me that I do, like meta-analysis, like in a high view to get
of yourself
and of things. And there is something very clear that, I mean, we don't need, it's super clear, like you can observe in your life who are the people that you feel that they are more happier, like who feel emotionally more in peace and happier. Doesn't have to be euphoric. Just people that you see them like they have like a special harmony in the way they live. And you can observe and find the patterns. And you can do that. And when you observe that, you will see, well, if you're lucky and you know a few, you will see that money is not direct, is not connected with. Like you can have money and being happy, and you can have money and being sad.
Yeah.
And you can have little money and be happy, and you can have little money and be sad. So there is something that makes some people happier and more in harmony. So what is that? And what I observe, like most of the things are pretty simple. Pretty simple.
Such
like,
as?
Such as, for example, doing things that you like. For example, I think artists, normally I feel on average, a happier and a better well-being artist. Also, normally they struggle with money. But and they suffer a little bit because of that. But it's quite common to see artists like more passionate and happier.
They're excited by what they're doing all the time.
Yeah.
For sure.
And they feel like more in harmony. People that play the guitar, or you can see that. Also, I think when you do things with passion, artists, you can see that. Also, people that practice sports, it's normal to see people quite active. They are related with also better well-being.
Yeah.
And you see that.
Yeah, it's true.
It doesn't have to be crazy in your sports. Normally, people that are crazy in sports, they are not so happy.
Yeah, because they're going into that extreme of being super famous and having to train 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
There's
the
a
same
shift
in
that
business.
happens there. Yeah.
But you see that people that are quite active normally are happier. People that do their passions normally are happier. People that are in contact with nature somehow, normally they are happier. People, or like gardeners. It's quite common to see gardeners. Normally they are super fucking happy.
Super happy.
It's
Yeah,
incredible.
it's very true.
Right?
Very true.
Yeah, gardeners. I don't know. It's crazy. Some of the happiest
They
people
they love what they do.
Yeah.
They're so passionate about it, and they're outside all the time, breathing in fresh air,
Yeah.
being around different varieties of microbiomes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is something there, no?
Yeah.
And also, normally people, they are happy, and normally they have good quality relationships in terms of family or friends. So the things are quite simple.
But we like to make it complicated.
But we like to make it complicated. Because they are quite simple. It's about, and normally it's also a big acceptance of what it is. Like, I think accepting is the key. And that is the contradiction at the same time. Because I always have the feeling that for me, love is acceptance. Because love is, I love things means I accept things.
Yeah.
If you accept a person how it is, a situation how it is, you are loving it. So pure acceptance is love. It's like a state of being. Like, I accept everything. I love everything.
Viewing it all
as it is.
Exactly as it is. Not needing to change it in any way.
Beautiful. In that state, you're happy.
That's unconditional. Yeah.
You're happy. But we are creative creatures.
Yes.
And we have a conscious, and somehow it looks like we have free will. Free will? Is that the right pronunciation?
It is indeed.
And we can do things. So we can change things. And then we can change our haircut. We can paint, or we can change, bring transformation to the universe, to reality. And that change or shaping reality to adapt it to what we want. It can easily have the connotation of I am not accepting reality.
Yeah.
I have the power of shaping reality to fulfill my needs instead of accepting how it is.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit of the duality. And I don't want to be a monk all the time, like contemplating. I don't want to be full shaping reality to fulfill all my internal needs, because it will be never ending. So much friction.
Yeah.
So playing with both.
I think it's maybe the secret to it, and this is something I'm also working through in my life right now, in my process, I think the secret to it is to follow the passions, follow the excitement, follow the curiosity to create and solve problems and have fun, but also be unattached to the outcome in some way.
Mhm.
But I think like a lack of attachment to the outcome is key, because then you're saying, okay, I accept my hair how it is, I love it how it is, but just for fun, I want to cut it.
Mhm.
But I'm unattached to if I think it was better before or after. It doesn't change how I feel about myself. I mean, this is very simple, it's a haircut, but
Yeah.
but it's the same thing. It's like, you know, you're going through a process of, okay, I want to become more social, I want to become more connected, because I feel inside myself that I am someone that has more love to give, but I don't know how to communicate with people. So, but that doesn't change my value as a person. I know my worth. I'm just learning how to express that in a new way, but not being like so attached to the outcome. Like I need this so desperately and it's going to determine my value. I think that's a very difficult balance to strike realistically.
Yeah.
And I think the duality is we are always going to have the light and the shadow at the same time.
Mhm.
And we kind of need that contrast. It's part of the human experience is to have that contrast. But I think it's instead of saying I'm only going to chase the light and I'm going to hide from the dark, it's about saying I love the light and I love the dark. I accept that there's beautiful, amazing things, and I accept that there are things that are difficult and challenging. And actually the only reason I can appreciate the beauty is because I understand the pain as well. And taking this kind of non-dualistic way of approaching it, where yes, you're a creator. Yes, you are going to make things happen. You're going to fix things. You're going to break things. You're going to change things. You're going to love things. You're going to hate things. But can you love the fact that you hate something? Can you love the fact that you're able to hate something? And that is a part of your experience. Can you accept that disliking something and having preferences is actually a part of life, and appreciate that? Like, and I think that's very, very kind of headfuck, difficult thing to get your head around sometimes, right?
No, but I think that's a very cool approach, because I mean that is going to happen no matter what.
No matter what.
No matter what you do, there will be emotions inside you that you will have more as a preference or less.
Yeah.
And you can learn how to accept them more. No? Loving that shadows. And it's like, you know, when you talk about the comfort zone, if you want to grow, you have to have 1 foot outside.
Yeah, exactly.
If you are always in your comfort zone, there is almost no growth.
Yeah.
But if you go, you know, there is one graph that is painted that say, I think is how challenging is something and how, well, more, I don't remember exactly how is the graph, but I can explain it.
Yeah, explain it.
It's basically when something is very easy, you are not motivated.
Yeah.
If something is a little bit challenging, you will feel some motivation. Imagine a game. If the game is too easy, you know, it will be like too easy to play. It's not fun.
Yeah.
When there is a challenge, and you fail a few times, it's cool. And if it is too challenging, you feel frustrated.
Yes.
So for growing, having a feet outside of the comfort zone, let's say 20%. Maybe for you is 10, maybe for another is 50%. Outside growth. Okay, cool. And for the duality of accepting and shaping, same.
Yeah.
If you go completely into shaping, you are destroying. I experienced myself. Your life is a shit. You feel like you are so focused in the future, and in all you want to get, that all you have now feel like nothing.
Yeah.
All you have now
Can't be present.
nothing.
It's impossible.
It's always like this. What I have now is a shit, and not in between is a transit, like a path for achieving my destiny.
Yeah.
Like the journey is not important.
Yeah.
It's the destiny all about.
Yeah. And when you get there, you still can't even enjoy it because you're thinking about the future.
Yeah. So finding that, okay, I will shape at 20%. My balance is accepting 18, shaping 20, or accepting 50, shaping 15. You are super creative. Finding that within you.
Because if you equally just accept, you get bored.
Yeah.
And I think that's the interesting thing. We need a certain balance of certainty and uncertainty. And this is actually part of our core needs as human beings. We have like 6 kind of psychological / physical needs that we require to be satisfied in life. And two of them are like a counterbalance with each other: certainty and uncertainty. There's also acceptance and significance, or belonging and significance, and growth and nourishment. And certainty and uncertainty need to be balanced, but we live in a world that's very heavily glorifying certainty and security, and often it's not allowing us space for the uncertainty or novelty in our life. And we start to chase this certainty so much that we don't allow ourselves to step out of the comfort zone and really grow. They actually did experiments with rats where they made it like they pressed a button and treats would fall when they pressed a button. And they experimented the first time by making it like they would press the button one time, a treat would fall, and then every single time afterwards, nothing. The rats would lose motivation very quickly because they'd realize, I'm always going to lose here. I'm certain that nothing is going to happen, or there's so much uncertainty that there's no point. The other one would be like every time they pressed it, they would get food. And they tried it a few times, like, oh, this is great, and then they got bored because it's too easy, right? And then the third experiment was like arbitrary, like every 3 to 5 times they pressed it randomly, they would get food, and they were addicted to it. They kept pressing it again and again and again because they had this perfect balance of like, I know I will win something, but I'm also not sure when. And I think that's kind of similar with the comfort zone. We have to have this comfort of like, okay, I have some security and stability of knowing who I am, knowing my values, having certain routines and things in place that make me feel centered. But also, I need to be able to step out of this and say, okay, let me play with something I don't know. Let me try this new job. Let me try this new project. Let me try this new hobby. And I don't know what I'm doing here, but I can still always come back to my center if I get lost. And I think there's something really cool about that process that opens us up. And before you know it, the comfort zone starts to get bigger and bigger anyway. It starts to grow exponentially.
I completely, the comfort zone consolidates.
Yeah, it consolidates. It becomes like the thing that was uncomfortable then enters the comfort zone. The net gets wider and wider and wider. And before you know it, it's like, for you to come out of your comfort zone, you're able to take bigger risks and do more crazy things.
For sure.
Because you've shown yourself, actually, I'm pretty safe. And I think in this process, the thing that's really interesting is you start to develop your own internal sense of security. You start to realize that security does not come from monetary success or other people approving of me and thinking I'm good enough, which makes me feel safe. It doesn't come from that. It actually comes from my ability to show myself that I can step out of my comfort zone, try new things, take risks, and I'm safe. I got myself. That's actually a way more important type of security. To lose all the money you've ever had and to know that you could still make money again after that. To not feel like the money makes you safe, but to know you are the thing that makes you safe because you are the one who's creating your life.
Completely.
That's like the whole next level of security.
And it's the only one in reality.
It's the only real one.
It's the only one, the one you can trust the most.
Yeah.
Because what reality and life is going to bring us always is uncertain.
Exactly.
And we try to predict some things and we have some capacity for prediction.
So we can never be 100%.
But we can never be 100% also. This security within ourselves, I think, is so important. Traveling helps you a lot for that.
It does.
Because you realize that you are able to navigate different situations. I think there are many small things that we can do for that, Setting boundaries.
Yes.
It's super cool for feeling safe within yourself.
Listening to what you need and expressing it.
Yeah.
Feeling certain emotions and expressing it.
Yeah. And developing that security within you and that trust. That's feeling safe, not because everything is going to be stable, but because you know that you can navigate everything.
Yes. And I also, just to quickly touch upon what we said earlier, this chasing of money and success, I think it is in some way coming from this place of actually not ever feeling safe, not ever feeling truly stable, and kind of feeling like you always need more to know that you're more safe because that internal stability is kind of lacking in some way, and you need that external feeling of I have a net that's really airtight, but that can always be lost in, so I need to just keep getting more just in case.
When you say that, it connects me also with another topic. I don't know if you would like to explore this topic.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's have fun.
Okay, that is because it's related with my healing process.
Perfect. I really wanted to come to this soon. So.
Okay,
awesome.
so I when you say healing, this safety net, I really thought about this. Well, I discovered something recently that really fucked my mind at the beginning, and now I am starting to find my balance. But basically, since I am 16, I suffer from like a chronic condition. At the beginning, was just like random pain, sometimes happening in my lower back. And when I was 21, 22, it becomes worse, more extreme. And the last 7 years, I have been suffering from chronic back pain. Also, I can have pain in the knees, in the ribs, in general, in my...
But it's super severe for you, right? Like you can't even get up sometimes because of it.
Yeah, it's very paralyzing. When it's very intense, like pain is 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Really, really paralyzing. Like, it's strong enough to be traumatic, just the pain. That so you develop also fear to experiencing pain again, and then you can get into a very negative spiral loop. And well, the thing is that I have in the last 7 years healing that in a natural way. What I have is called ankylosing spondylitis. You can check also my podcast.
Ankylosing spondylitis.
Yeah, ankylosing spondylitis is the name. It's a type of rheumatoid.
Okay, yeah.
Arthritis. It's like inflammation in your joints created by your immunologic system. This is the description. Normally around the spine or the hips or the sciatic, sacroiliac inflammation. But well, in any case, I have this condition. I was experiencing these symptoms for many years, and I have been healing that naturally for the last 7 years. For doing so, I become super healthy thanks to this. Like, one of my friends told me once, here in Copenhagen, maybe not, but one of my friends told me once, Alvaro, you're like the healthiest person. I was like, no. Like,
that's why you had a 6-pack for 8 years.
Yeah, exactly. Now I am losing it because I am eating other things. Almost, but I continue with the 6-pack. But yeah, that's why I quit gluten. I eat gluten-free, dairy-free, no sugar, no carbs. And I have been doing my diet precisely for the last 7 years. And also with some other things, but in general it's that. And I have been practicing between 1 hour and a half to 2 hours of exercise per day. And also practicing meditation at least 30 minutes per day. And I design all this lifestyle to heal naturally from my chronic condition. Also, I have been changing other things that I felt they will be good for me. Like I start changing where I live, and right now we are in a house that is close to the beach, like the beach is here and in nature.
Next to the ocean.
Exactly. And I am outside of the city to be more relaxed and in contact with nature, or close to the ocean, also in a sunny weather because winter was not feeling good for me. So I developed all these mechanisms or coping mechanisms for avoiding pain.
Yeah.
I'm connecting this because you were talking about a safety net.
Yeah, feeling safety.
Yeah, and the things that in 2024 was the best year of my life. I never felt better than in 2024. Even though there are many things, but I never felt better than in 2024. And one day I saw one video of one guy that is called Ralph. Yeah, and Ralph Fitness, that he talked about my illness, and he approached my illness in a psychological way.
Interesting.
And when I saw that video, I already read a few books, but that video was like...
It's so specific to your problem as well.
So specific. And I realized something that was... all my structure of habits, patterns, way of eating, movement, how or where I live, with who I relate, all I have been developing a complex structure or network to support me, because in reality I have an extreme fear of experiencing some emotions and pain. And even 2024 was the year where I felt like, okay, this year I get it. And my network was never better developed. And I experienced some safety and well-being in that network that I created. It was so complex at the same time. And it was in reality motivated by the fear of experiencing these emotions, that when he pointed that to me, I was like, I mean, I didn't want to believe that.
Yeah.
So it was like, no, I am good and I don't have any fear. But I am feeling good. I'm feeling happy. But then, you know, internally, deeply on me, I was thinking like, fuck, it's true. It's true. Like there is something on me that I have extreme fear to experience not having money, or to experience more basic things like to experience rejection, to experience failure, to experience sadness, to experience anxiety. And that's why when I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety, I do meditation. That's why when I'm feeling a little bit down, I do exercise to keep me
try
up.
to change it instantly instead of feeling it.
So I have all these tools to biohack me. And it can sound like that's the way. I thought that was the way.
Yeah, it's like you're regulating, quote unquote, you're regulating yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, the feeling, to give a metaphor of this, is imagine that you are in your home, you have a bungalow at the beach, and you like sunny days. And whenever you see a cloud, you start like blowing to move the cloud, so it's not raining.
Yeah.
And then it goes, and you're like, oh, okay. And again another cloud, and then imagine that you are trying to control the weather.
Yeah.
And imagine that you are so good that you can even have an impact. Let's assume that you become so good that you can even move a little bit the clouds. It's going to be heavy work.
Yeah.
But you can, because
And
you
you have to
develop,
constantly be watching for it.
you develop a machine to like something to create a lot of wind, you know, and you have radars and sensors in the mountains. But that level of obsession is what you develop within yourself.
It's obsession, yeah.
And then,
so much fixation.
Even though it's sunny all the day, you will be so afraid.
Constantly afraid. You can't relax.
That, I think, is the root cause of my chronic pain.
I think it's a root cause of a lot of illnesses, that chronic underlying stress. The nervous system is always in this sympathetic state. And like, I mean, it makes sense even when you think about it. And I was particularly fascinated by that. This is exactly what the Gabor Mate, Peter Levine, and similar people in this space of like trauma and healing, psychosomatic conditions talks about. That there is this hypertension that is always in the background. And on the surface, you may feel like,
it's sunny.
I'm really happy, it's sunny, it's great. But deep down inside, you're so afraid of the clouds coming that you can never really let your guard down. You can't just lay in the sun and be like, yeah, it's nice and sunny, because you're always thinking, okay, as soon as the clouds come back, I need to jump up and I need to brush them away. So essentially, you're in this hyper-activated state. So for those who don't know anything about the nervous system is the thing that regulates your hormones, your blood flow, your digestion. Really, like, it regulates many, many things. And there's two different modes that it can be on. It's either on, relaxed, it's either on and not relaxed, or it's off and you're relaxed, essentially. I mean, in layman's terms.
Yeah.
So you have this mode where it's really on, which is called sympathetic. And in that state, digestion is not working, hormones are not being regulated, blood flow is constricted, all sorts of things, functions in the body shut down, because the purpose of it being activated is for survival. This is your flight or fight mode. So in flight or fight, it doesn't matter if you're releasing hunter-killer cells into your body or healing chronic inflammation. It's not important. What's important is that we survive. And in this moment, we have adrenaline, we have cortisol, we have all of these things that are designed to keep you alive. And they are actually only supposed to be happening in the body for a very small amount of time. In nature, this active system would only be happening for like 2 to 5% of the time when you're being hunted.
Yep.
And outside of that, you would be in parasympathetic, which is when it's off, you're relaxed, you're digesting, you're sleeping well, your hormones are functioning, your blood flow is good, inflammation is being reduced. All of these processes are happening in the body to just maintain health. But when you need to survive, that's not important. Right now, it's just survival. So if for a prolonged period of time, that mechanism of survival is turned on, all of these things that are supposed to happen in the body in the background to maintain and regenerate health are not happening. So over time, inflammation builds up, chronic conditions happen, issues start to happen, cancerous growths happen, chronic pain happens. And we are living, I think, in a world that also we misunderstand regulation for pushing the clouds away. And actually, by pushing the clouds away, we are creating still the same fear response in a new way, right? So I guess the question is, how? are you personally, and how do you think people who are, I mean, I feel most people suffer with this in some way in their life, in small or large ways. What do you think is the new solution, as opposed to pushing the clouds away so you can process this in a better, healthier way?
Look, I would like to answer that question after answering another one.
Sure.
How do we push the clouds away? We keep it here.
Okay.
This knee.
Yeah, we'll put
We
it
will
in
come
there.
now
Yeah.
here. Because the other one, I don't know if you feel related with this. Just to make it useful for whoever is watching.
Mm-hmm.
How to realize if that's your case?
Interesting. Yeah.
Because for me, when you become very good avoiding your emotions and pushing out the clouds, you don't feel
You
it.
don't even realize.
And
Yeah.
when you have been doing that for years, you don't realize it.
Such a huge mechanism.
It's subconscious.
Yes.
It's not in front of your eyes. It's behind. So you don't realize it. So if you are already saying like, for sure this is me, I mean, maybe it is, but probably there are many people that they are saying, no, this is not me. Probably that are the people who can struggle more with this.
Yeah.
That they need it more. So how?
I think if you
Can
have
you
resistance to
realize?
this,
That can be a sign.
I think if you hear this conversation and there's a part of you that has resistance, that's a huge sign.
Yeah.
Because I think subconsciously, if we're feeling open to something because it's not really impacting us, we just listen. But when we have an emotional attachment to a topic, because it's something that we feel polarizes us, I think we become resistant when we hear certain things. Like, for example, if you love meat and you meet someone who's vegan, you become resistant because their view is so opposite to your view that you become like, oh, I don't want to listen to this, or vice versa. If you're monogamous and you meet someone who's polyamorous, you become resistant because their view is so opposite to your worldview. There's like a lack of desire to question it. So if you're hearing this about pushing the clouds away and sort of suppressing emotion and kind of, I'm happy, everything's great, but it's coming from this place of actually, I'm trying to control my environment and I'm not allowing myself to really relax, and you feel resistance to that, then that might be a sign that that's you.
Completely. And that's your ego protecting from, because if we are telling you to do things in another way and that feels unsafe, so that could be a good sign.
It feels unsafe, yeah.
Another sign will be if you have, first of all, if you have any type of symptom related.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have any symptom at all, there is no need to do more research. But if you have any type of chronic symptom, like skin conditions, like pain in your joints, allergies, or digestion problems, irritated colon, you are losing your hair, any type of inflammation can be also in your mouth, tongue, chances, like if you have any type, or also migraines, insomnia, if you have one or multiple of these ones,
it could be a sign.
It is a big sign. And probably when you have one, probably you have multiple.
Yeah. They're also interconnected as well.
Yeah. Because they're related with the immune system, all of them.
Yeah, and I can certainly say for myself, I mean, I have loads of autoimmune system issues like thyroid and allergies and all sorts of stuff. And I think it's also, they're all interconnected. You know, just like we were saying earlier, like all of the different topics that we want to talk about in this podcast are interconnected. Also, the way that this chronic pain comes about, it's kind of like a, how do I say this? It's like a back and forth loop. You know, like I'm afraid of pain because I have pain, and therefore I overthink because I want to try and control it, and that control makes it harder for me to sleep. So I get less than 6 hours sleep a night, and then my body is not functioning properly, and then I have more pain, and then I get more fear, and I try and get... So it becomes this like never-ending cycle of like they keep kind of adding to each other and amplifying each other. So I think paying attention to these signs is really important, because I think it's also a great way for you to catch early something that could become a problem in your life.
For sure. And also if it is already a problem, like many people have some type of chronic problem.
Yeah.
Like we are like 30-40% of population have some type of chronic problem. So
Wow.
chances are very high that you have something. And
Wow. That's a
so
lot.
if you have all that symptoms, it's a sign. Like, no, it's not a sign. You will like to understand this idea. Okay, you have some of these symptoms. Super. How do I... But now you will be wondering,
okay, what do I do about this?
No, this is not because of my emotion. This is because I have migraines because yesterday I get a lot of sun. or or any type of excuse or not excuse, just reason that you want to find out.
Yeah, it's intellectualizing it.
Intellectualizing.
Yeah.
Then I will say that my way of understanding if I am in the right nervous system state is by observing how I am experiencing reality. Like I don't see myself good, but I can see how I am understanding reality. And that normally I see some signs. For example, when I am easily triggered, when I am feeling easily angered or irritated by small things around people. When in my mornings I don't have a good mood. Like I am very sensitive at the mornings. That can be related with your cortisol levels. When I am having face tension, I feel it on my eyebrows and on my lips. Like tension.
Yeah, you're holding a lot.
Yeah, and normally it happens or when I wake up or after long periods of work.
Yeah, you're holding.
And I feel my muscles here like I need to stretch them. I go like this and then I'll blah blah. Yoga for the face, you move
Face yoga.
Face yoga. When you feel the tension, can be also a sign, like subtle signs. Also, your dream quality. Sorry, not your sleep quality. No, your dreams.
Interesting.
Your
Is
dreams.
it stressful?
How they feel.
Do you feel terrified when you wake up and that kind of thing?
Yeah, without getting too much into, I don't go too much into the analysis of the dream. That will be another thing. Just the feeling of the dream. I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling rejection, I'm feeling excited.
That's the subconscious talking to you.
It's the subconscious. And if you feel you have normally nightmares or feelings that make you feel afraid or scared or tension, chances are that you are not that you are in some type of fear-based state. And even though later you wake up and you do your work and you are very successful.
Yeah.
Or you do your running and your meditation and whatever. That is for me a good sign also. And also I feel it's related, I feel some relationship with how my hair fall when I'm in a bad emotional state or tension, not emotional, because the emotions are invisible for you. That's why I'm using these signs. If you can see your emotions, cool, you don't need all of that, all what I mentioned. This is if your emotions are invisible for you.
Yeah.
That's what I experience. And my hair also have tendency to fall. And also vulnerability to digestives.
Yeah.
So all these things can be pointing you. I am in a, how is
Sympathetic.
sympathetic
Stress state.
state.
Fight or flight. Yeah.
And if that's the case and you see that, super. Now you are acknowledging that.
Now you can do something about
Now
it.
you can do something.
Yeah.
What can we do?
The clouds.
What can we do with the clouds?
How can we manage not being afraid of them coming back?
You use a beautiful example before. I will copy that example whenever I want to explain it.
Copy.
You imagine laying down and being afraid. You will never lay down and relax. How can you lay down and relax? How can you? Imagine that you are there. What do you need to do to lay down and relax?
You just need to lay there, close your eyes, breathe, and be okay if the clouds come over, that you can stay. You don't have to get up, you're not waiting for something. And you have to be present. Not worrying about the future, not worrying about the past, forgetting about the clouds that came before, forgetting about the clouds that will come next. But just being like, okay, right now I'm here, I'm in the sun. Let me just relax. Oh, the clouds are here now. Okay, cool.
And what will happen if the clouds come and it rains a little?
You can stay there if you want. And just get wet.
Yeah, you get wet.
And you will dry again when the sun comes back.
Maybe you get cold.
Maybe.
A little.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
And at some point the sun will come. I think the most extreme fundamental change is understanding that there is not so much to fear and do the test. This is little by little.
Yeah.
Little by little. Like exponential, like gradually exposition. Gradual exposition is called.
Gradual exposure.
Exposure. when the clouds come, you just let you get a little bit wet. And imagine that after doing that, you say, okay, being wet is not my preference.
I'm gonna get up and drown myself.
But I am okay.
Yeah.
Then, in the future, when you lay down, you can relax because you will say, okay, if I have some, I will enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, it's okay. It's
Yes.
not the best,
Yes.
but it's okay.
You can handle it.
Yeah, it's losing the fear to that emotional state. I'm talking about emotional state, not the external factors in reality.
Mm-hmm.
Is losing the fear to how cold it feels or what is being wet. So if you accept that, what I am experiencing is basically, well, now if I have a problem, instead of getting into fixing, focus, fighting, I allow that. Like I am feeling sad because I'm having a difficult conversation with my partner. I allow that.
Just let yourself feel sad.
Let it be. But before I have so much fear that I will do running after or journaling directly. Just let it be.
I think that's the thing. It's the fear of the emotional state itself. And just in case anyone wasn't following with our metaphor of the clouds and the sun, like the sun is everything's fine, I feel good, and there's no problem. The clouds are the emotions, the fear, the sadness, the vulnerability, the anxiety, the disappointment, the rejection, whatever it might be, the feeling of being unwanted in some way. But when we can allow ourselves to just feel that, it's funny how the fear of the emotion coming up is usually worse than the reality of feeling it. Like before you get your heart broken for the first time ever, you fear that heartbreak more than anything because you don't know what that's going to feel like. Your first heartbreak, the idea of losing them is like, shit. When you can feel it's kind of coming to the end, or maybe it ends suddenly, and then you have to go through heartbreak for the first time. You've never experienced that before. It's almost like, I'm going to die. This is so painful. But then you, over time, slowly move past it. And before you know it, the sun comes back out and you feel good again and you feel whole again. The next time you go through the potential of heartbreak, if you've allowed yourself to feel it, you're not as afraid of it coming back. If you run away from heartbreak when it happens the first time, then you will close your heart and you'll never allow anybody else in because you don't want to let yourself ever feel that ever again. So you become afraid of feeling this emotion of the pain and the heartbreak and the loss and the grief. So you run away from it. And then you can never really fully experience the joy of love because you stopped yourself from feeling the pain of loss. And so you will always avoid actually letting anyone get close enough, letting any emotion get deep enough. On some level, it's almost as if this, we have the sun, but you're not really feeling the warmth fully. And going through this process of feeling, getting wet and the rain, that's when you can say, I'm really going to embrace the warmth of the sun because I really know how much it sucks to get wet.
But you know what happened? That I hear this advice many times and I never get it.
So what made you get it? What changed?
I think, one of the things that helped me the most was doing a meditation around emotions, where you sit down and you describe how are you feeling emotionally, and then you do your meditation. It was a guided meditation. You sit down, you do a few breaths to get into a relaxed state. And once you are there, you start describing, how do I feel today? And you describe the feeling based on how it's feeling your body. So for example, normally it's around the chest, or the forehead, or the mouth. If it is something that is feeling hot, or if it is feeling contraction, or if what I am feeling is more shaky, if it is feeling more like fluid, or if it is feeling more dense, or bringing this type of qualities and where they are. But between fire, contraction and shaky, there is quite a lot of contrast. So that's something that you can really realize.
Yeah.
And then I never pay so much attention to how they feel. It's not thinking.
It's feeling
the emotion. Like I think I feel it. No, We like the sensation.
That the emotion creates.
The sensation. It's not through the brain. It's super physical. And then you find and tap into that physical sensation. That will be if you are getting wet and I'm feeling the drops here. It's moving through my arm. It's getting wet now my pants. Or you just describe the rain is cold, big drops, not so fast. The same with emotion physically. And then in this meditation they describe also, okay, when you are feeling the fire, hot, normally related with anger. When it's shaky, it's more related with anxiety.
They tell you this in the meditation.
Yeah. When it's more heavy, it's more related with depression or sadness. Just the point here, even if you don't label them, for me labeling was cool because it's the first time I realized how to distinguish emotions based on how they feel, not thinking.
Yeah.
And then just this accessing and feeling to the maximum with curiosity. Like if you are holding clay and you want to squeeze it between your fingers, you are exploring the
feeling of it in the body.
That.
But not trying to change it.
No, nothing to change.
You're just really listening to what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That normally is what I don't do at all.
Yeah.
When I am feeling like, it's okay, I will watch a movie.
I'll distract myself.
Yeah, because you don't want to feel it. You are escaping. And in reality, the feeling, later you realize that it's not so much. Really, it's not so much.
It's not that bad. Yeah.
No, it's actually getting curiosity to this. Really like a scientist or like you are exploring. It's not too much, and it can be even fun, or you can learn. So doing this more often, then you start to develop, like, okay, whatever, and you are in your day-to-day, and the feeling manifests, the feeling, not the thoughts. Like in meditation, sometimes we think more about thoughts, no?
Yes.
Here is like the feeling manifests, and then you embrace that physical sensation, consume the physical sensation, literally consume until there is no more. And when you do that, I think it happened two things. One, the fear to that sensations decrease, so you become more in a peaceful state normally. And second, you are consuming the energetic quality such in a way that is not later manifesting in other ways, energetically and later physically.
Yeah, you're actually allowing that movement because you're not afraid in that moment. Even if you feel fear, like feeling the fear, really going into welcoming the fear, but you're not allowing your fear to like be the dominant thing that's pushing everything away and then putting you in that state of chronic tension in the body. Because the tension is coming from resisting, If I'm pushing your hand and you're pushing it back against me, then we have this chronic tension where I'm constantly trying to push you away, you're constantly trying to push me away. Like the emotion wants to come in and you do not want to let it in. But if you can just be like, the emotion's coming in, it's a bigger pushing force, whether you like it or not, it's a bigger pushing force than you can control. So just allow it in. If you let your hand be soft and you just let it in, it will push you, it will come past the end of that motion of the energy, and then it just drops, And I think that's the magic, and this is like a metaphor I use with my clients a lot about emotions. It's like you're sitting in the house, and the house is really peaceful, and this is when you're feeling zen, everything's cool. And then suddenly you hear this banging on the door. It's like bang, 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 bang. And you just try and turn the TV volume up. You can hear the banging, you're starting to your heart starts to race, you start to feel nervous, but you just turn the TV volume up. You're like, yeah, it's cool, the TV's going up. Bang, 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 bang in the background. It just gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder until you cannot ignore it anymore. Like you can just keep making your environment so loud and try and control the fact that there's something outside banging on the door. But whether you like it or not, the only way that it's actually going to stop is if you let it in. Then it will come in, it will make a bit of noise, it'll run around the house, and then it will leave. And then you come back to peace eventually. But it's just knowing, and again, being unattached to the outcome, knowing that it will pass. The clouds will always pass. The sky is always there. But the clouds move and pass and change. And it's just being able to watch that. We look up and watch the clouds, it's beautiful. watching all the different shapes and manifestations and seeing, oh, can I see a face here and everything? And we can have the same experience with our own emotions. We allow the emotions to come in, the good and the bad, and we don't label them as like, this one is better than the other, but instead saying, okay, well, this one is fun, this one's not so fun, but what can I learn from it?
Yeah.
And it's an indicator also of your needs that are being met or not being met in your life when you're feeling certain emotions coming up. And allowing yourself to just feel it, and then once it passes, being like, why did that come up? Okay, I really felt anxious in that moment. Like, where did that come from? Is there something that I'm doing with my environment that maybe is telling me that I need to be more caring to myself in this moment? Maybe I'm pushing myself too hard. Maybe I'm working 20 hours in a day and I need to take a break.
Or maybe there is no reason.
Or maybe there's no reason. Yeah.
Because I also...
True, maybe it just comes up for no reason.
Yeah. And maybe it was stuck already in your body.
From something way before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes that you feel in a way and you say, I don't know why.
No idea why. Yeah.
And you, instead of... Because the mechanism, the behavior of finding the why to fix it, normally is fear-based too.
Yeah. To avoid it happening again.
Yeah. So it's very easy, for me, it's very easy to get trapped into trying to fix it. And then I am going back to my patterns of fear-based. And it's like, why is the cloud coming?
Yeah. True.
You can just, for a while as an experiment,
Yeah.
I think it will bring more healing than finding the why, not finding the why. No, it's counterintuitive for someone that is used to find whys and solve and fix.
Yeah.
But this is the experiment. Not trying nothing. Stop trying. Really. And then you get wet and you will say, fuck, but now I'm living a life when I get wet sometimes. You do. You do. And you are going to enjoy sun a lot.
A lot more.
And
you
the
can
wet
relax.
also a lot. And then you will be... What happens is that it suddenly manifests a peaceful sensation within all whatever you are experiencing. And I think that peaceful sensation, when you tap into that, you will be like, the opposite was creating the pain. The opposite is the tension. And it feels like if you do like this with your fingers, you put like this your hand and you collapse, you feel like tension in your fingers. But I am right now putting tension, like I'm pressing my fingers. And you, after 1 year, you get used to this and you think this is normal, this feeling.
Yeah, it's true.
And you just relax. The fingers are almost in the same place.
Yeah.
But right now I feel like
ease. Yes.
This is inside the body, always accessible. And this is for me right now my path of healing.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of benefits to approaching it in this way. I think there's always a kind of duality that comes out in these situations. Because I actually agree with you. I think for managing emotions and regulating in a healthy, natural sort of way, I think this is what we're designed to do, is to feel these things coming up and to have these mechanisms of feeling. And in the cases where it's appropriate, like really expressing, like sometimes when you're angry, you have a lot of movement. For me, when I experience anger, it's heat, but it's also a lot of like movement. But also I noticed in my breath that I'm holding my breath. Like, and this is something I mean, I'm really interested in the breath and how it relates to our emotional experience. And it's, when you're anxious, you'll be feeling the anxiety and the tension in the body, but then when you pay attention to your breath, you notice actually I'm breathing really fast and really shallow in the top of my chest, which actually makes sense on a physiological level. I'm keeping my lungs really filled with air and I'm pressing my heart because I'm keeping it all in my chest and I'm not allowing my heart the space to pump with more freedom where my lungs are not like crowding around it all the time. So there's like this physiological thing that's happening. It's like, again, the top down, bottom up, they're influencing each other. It's not one that's creating the other, they're co-creating. And I think there is also another side of it, which is, okay, I don't know, let's go back to the heartbreak example, because I think it's one that everyone can definitely relate to more openly than some emotions I think we're more reluctant to experience. But let's say, okay, I feel heartbreak, and I feel it, I go through it, I let the emotions happen, I cry about it, I go through the grieving, the depression, everything, and I come out of it, I feel okay. But there is also a mechanism for, I have to remember in some way, how did I feel during that process of picking this person who then cheated on me, or was a narcissist or gaslit me or whatever, so I can also make sure that I don't get into a situation like that again. I think practically there's got to be some way of balancing, you know, like if I go and put my hand in the fire and it hurts, yeah, I should, you know, feel that. Yeah, that fucking hurt, and let myself go through that and give myself time to heal. But I also should learn not to put my hand in the fire again.
For sure.
So how do you find that balance so it's not becoming like an obsessive control, but also it's allowing space also for learning? It's kind of going back to what we said before of like staying in the comfort zone and changing at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I will say two things. One, if you are a person that have tendency of over focusing, fixing and solving,
Yeah.
I will practice for a while not to auto.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you are going to do that forever,
Mm.
but it's a practice.
Mm.
When you sit down in the meditation, we are not trying not to make you think forever.
Yeah.
It's a practice for a specific time, so you can experience some benefits. So I will encourage this as a practice for a specific time, not forever. Can be a few weeks.
Yeah. Could be a month, 2
Yeah,
months.
yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to
It's like changing the way your mind approaches
Exactly.
the experience.
exactly not finding the solution, and later you will have time when once you experience it, you will be able. I think you will be more able to find the balance.
Yeah.
And the second one, the case of the heartbreak, I feel is not representative in terms of chronic pain,
Yes.
but
Yes.
representative of a chronic trigger.
Yeah.
Many people experience chronic pain after big situations like heartbreak or losing their jobs, being divorced, losing someone like that you really love. That are triggers because they are big stressors. But chronic pain is chronic stress. It's chronic emotional stress, no?
Yeah.
So it's more in the little things than in the big ones.
Interesting.
That because if not, the big one have an impact.
Yeah.
But the reason why you experience that for years in your day to day is in the little things. It's every day, happening thousands of times.
Yeah, because all these micro tensions are just building up
Yeah.
on top of maybe an original big tension.
Yeah.
That you also avoid. Then there's all these micro ones that are building on top.
I think
Interesting.
so. So it's in this micro where you can find, for example, in the macro that you mentioned, you can reflect, no, like why I get into this relationship, or I'm pretty sure that there are many things to learn. And in the micro there are things to learn, but it's a little bit different because the micro is more like, well, the common mechanisms of avoiding emotions are people pleasing. Because, and it's interesting because these in society are rewarded.
Yes.
So they feel good, but they are not good for our systems. People pleasing is basically the fear of rejection.
Yeah. Yeah.
And conflict.
And fear of not being loved if you
Not
show
being
who you
loved.
really are and what you really think and what you really need.
Exactly, because you have that fear of experiencing that emotion, you people please. Perfectionism is another one. Is the fear of not being seen or not being above others.
Yeah, not
Or
contributing enough.
Not contributing enough. The same is something that looks cool,
Yeah.
but in reality is fear-based. Perfectionism. Fear of experiencing emotion.
Yeah.
It's just a simple emotion.
Yeah.
Perfectionism. Also, high achieving is another one. Another coping mechanism. A stoic personality.
Numbing yourself completely. Yeah.
It's like trying to find always like the rational, intellectualizing, and there is something beneficial there, but when you do it
All the
excessively,
time, it's not good.
because you have fear of experiencing emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have fear of getting wet.
Yeah.
And another one is also overthinking or over worried, like thinking too much impossible risks,
Yeah. Catastrophizing.
catastrophizing.
Worst case scenario, predictions all the
It's
time.
fear of something happening, a future event.
Yeah.
So all these behaviors, if you have this characteristic, you experience that all the time, every day.
Yeah, it's this chronic tension that's always in the background.
Exactly. So that ones are the ones that to pay more attention to, I will say.
And these are all things that are very glorified in our society in many ways. So it's very interesting how there's that kind of chicken and egg once again coming up where like society glorifies it, so we do it, and we kind of feel like it's very hard to break that pattern of being in this way and developing this kind of personality because it's being encouraged and celebrated, and it gives us this feeling of I'm enough now. But also deep down, it's not, because we feel that we're not really worthy of love, and we feel like we're not actually enough because we know that we have to create this constant control of being hyper performing or hyper people pleasing in order to maintain that love. So there's a part of us that's like, well, yeah, I feel like I'm good enough, but also I know that I'm compromising myself constantly in order to gain this love and appreciation from people. One of the hardest things about breaking these patterns is also being okay to let go of the mask that you create in order to gain this uncertain level of acceptance and love from the people around you. That's super hard. Imagine if you spent your whole life, like you did, building this approval from people. And now you have to let that go, and you have to trust that you're still going to be worthy of love, that you're still going to be given the same praise, and or even that you don't need that praise on some level anymore, and that you're going to be okay. And there's a kind of safety that you've gained from chasing this mask and this character that you're playing. And that's really hard.
Actually, it feels terrifying.
Terrifying.
It feels terrifying. Like, basically, that mask is your ego.
Mm-hmm.
And my ego, when I saw the video of Ralph, was terrified.
Yeah.
I went back to the cake shop, and that is a place that we go always to get
Yeah,
a
we
cake
love
or
the cake
to
shop
have
here.
dinner.
You'll
I
see
went to
all
the cake
stories.
shop, and I lay down on the legs of Yuna, like,
Yeah.
crying, terrified. And I didn't explain nothing. I was just terrifying of.
You have to change everything.
I was like, I have to change everything. I felt like so much fear. And you know what? What I am discovering is that no, it's not the case. I don't have to change everything. Is allowing the emotions to come. That's all. And being aware, even when you don't. If sometimes you don't, being aware.
Mm-hmm.
If sometimes I people please, I am aware.
Mm.
That creates already a space in between.
Mm.
Like sometimes I people please a little, and I am like, I'm people pleasing, and I want to do it now.
Sometimes you're willing to make that compromise.
Yeah, maybe you're talking with your boss and you don't want to be in a difficult situation, or I don't know, in a restaurant and you don't want to create a conflict. But it's not the same. Doing that all the time and not knowing that when you are almost not doing that you are not doing that all the time, and then okay, I do it, and you say, the food was very good. And then internally you are saying like, I'm people pleasing so much.
But also you're kind
and
of
it's okay.
being in that moment, like I'm allowing myself, in this moment I'm going to allow myself this behavior, but it's not a mechanism that I'm doing because I'm afraid. You know, I think the intention behind it is the difference. Because sometimes I want to people please in moments, because I don't want to hurt someone's feelings, not because I'm afraid that they will reject me, but because I understand how important it is for them. So for example, you know, my ex's mom used to make dinners for us sometimes, and I'm not really a big fan of English food, and sometimes the chicken would be really dry. But I'd be like, that's so tasty, you know? And it wasn't coming from a place of like, I'm afraid that she's going to reject me. It was more, I understand how much effort you put into this, and I appreciate how much you tried. So in this moment, I'm going to people please a little bit because I want to care about your emotions more than I want to care about having to say everything I'm thinking and everything I'm feeling. I think there's also a place for knowing the right time and place to set boundaries, to communicate, to be real. And it's the intention. Is it coming from a place of, I'm scared that if I tell you this, you're going to shout at me. I'm scared if I tell you this, you're not going to love me anymore. If it's coming from that place, then I would question it, personally. But if it's coming from it's not really worth, in this moment, it's not worth kicking up a fuss. In this moment, I'm actually okay with not putting so much emphasis into this thing. Yeah. And I think it's a different intention.
I think so. Because
it's not impacting the way that you are perceiving your own worth and internal security and balance. Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. And I think there is also something very beautiful in this process that you get a lot of inner peace.
Yeah.
A lot of inner peace. And it feels for me like right now it's so crazy, because my healing path is like the opposite of health from others. Like my healing path means going yesterday night to get the burger, gluten-full, cheese-full.
From Friendship Concept?
Fried sweet potatoes, mayonnaise, ketchup, a beer.
Fuck yeah.
And I was taking all that like,
Yeah,
You know?
I got a friendship concept yesterday as well.
Oh, but for me, I've been without doing that years.
Yes. And at first you kind of get scared when you're doing it, like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. You have to let go of the fear, right?
Actually, I am doing it now because now I don't have the fear. And actually, when I was doing this with fear, I was having more pain, not less.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, so extreme, the nocebo effect. So extreme. So
what's
clear.
the nocebo effect for people who don't know?
Yeah, the nocebo effect is the same that the placebo effect, but in the opposite direction. So the placebo effect is something that is used in medicine when you are in scientific experiments where they are testing the effects of different drugs. You always consider the placebo effect because basically placebo effect is the effect that you can have in yourself based on your belief on something. So if you think that something is good for you, it will have some effect on you, some impact. For example, where they are testing painkiller, they take a group and they give them salt or sugar, and they take another group and they give them the painkiller, and imagine after 2 hours they ask them, how much pain do you have now? No, and imagine people start with 7, and what happens is that people with salt or sugar, that is the placebo group, they always have some type of positive impact because they are believing they are taking a pill, it's a painkiller. This is for every experiment they always use the placebo group, and it's interesting also because there are some meta studies. When I use meta, I never understood that word.
Meta means like multiple different studies.
Exactly. Instead of doing one study, you do a study of the studies.
Yes, multiple studies are being looked at and correlated to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you do a meta study, you can see that placebo effect is not so important in all type of illnesses. But for example, in chronic illness or in mental illness, placebo effect have like a 30% impact, 40% impact in some cases.
Wow. So what's nocebo?
Nocebo is the same in the opposite direction. Is if you believe that something is going to have a negative impact within you, it can create it.
Wow.
So for example, if I am eating a burger, or before, if I am eating a little bit of cheese, and when I am doing that, I'm feeling guilty already, and I'm feeling fear, I'm feeling I'm doing something wrong, that can have an impact in my process of digestion. And also in my relationship with the pain. I will get paranoid with any possible signal of pain. I will be like, it is here, to reinforce my belief. It's like self-reinforcing.
Yeah.
And then that amplify whatever you can experience. So this is the nocebo effect. Nocebo effect, you can feel it also with anxiety.
Yeah.
You have fear of going to the cinema.
Yeah.
You have a panic attack there.
And then you get there, you're really anticipating it.
Exactly.
It's the same with my allergies as well. I just noticed your necklaces. There you go. Like, I was at a restaurant with you, I don't know, like a month ago, and I had an allergic reaction. For the audience, I have severe allergies to nuts, peanuts especially, and I had an allergic reaction. And I learned last time I was on the island when I had an accidental allergic reaction, and I had been going through a journey with the breath and how the breath can help me to regulate my anxiety or panic or whatever as it comes up and calm it in extreme situations. I had like a really bad allergic reaction. I had no antihistamines. My partner at the time was like running to the wrong house by mistake, so we just moved to a new place, and I was on my own in the house having an allergic reaction, and I was getting kind of like to an anaphylaxis point, and I thought, okay, well, I have no choice here but to try and calm myself down. So I just started doing like triangular breathing, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 8, for like half an hour before my partner finally came back. And the whole time I was doing that, I was also reciting thoughts to myself: you're safe, you're not gonna die. You're not going to die. You're going to live. This is not it. And I had this like really deep feeling inside myself of like, you're not going to die now. Like this real trust inside myself. Actually, you're not going to die. Yeah. And it, like, that's the only reason I even had the idea to try and regulate with the breath in the first place, was this like, I'm not going to die. I know I'm not going to die. This is not where my life ends. And having such a certainty around that. And the allergy did not disappear completely, but it was not anaphylactic. I didn't have to go to hospital. I didn't have to be given an adrenaline shot. It was okay. And when I was with you, because I learned that lesson last time, and I ate and I started to feel the nuts taste and the allergy coming on, that's why I said to you straight away, okay, don't panic. don't panic, stay calm. I'm having an allergic reaction. Because I realized also from previous allergic reactions with my ex-partner, he would freak out when I'd start to have an allergic reaction. And him freaking out would amplify this belief in myself, something's wrong, this is bad, I'm scared. It's the same as when a child starts to walk towards a swimming pool or something, and the parents are like, no, they start panicking. The kid starts to learn, oh, there's something dangerous about this. Other people's reaction to you also can amplify, and your reaction inside yourself is changing the experience. And yeah, we did the breathing and didn't even have
great.
We managed it great.
You did it.
It was
I was
crazy.
just there with you.
It's crazy how the belief change. Like I don't actually believe that I can die from eating peanuts. Because I'm not going into this panic. I believe that it will be fucking horrible. I don't want to experience it. But I don't believe I'm going to die from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually like this nocebo, placebo
That's
dynamic.
beautiful. You already have this belief.
Yeah, and Bruce Lipton talks a lot about the biology of belief and how our beliefs also impact a lot. Like if I'm eating something and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so bad, then actually my body is going to create that reality for me. Your brain is sending signals all the time, telling your body like, oh, this is safe, this is not safe, how to respond to threats. And if you're eating something and you're saying this is a threat, your body's going to be like, oh, this is a threat. I need to attack it. I need to create antibodies. I need to create inflammation. Right?
I think there is something also very important around this that I struggle a lot. The first time I hear about this, so basically what I understood was, okay, I need to change my beliefs. No, if I want to have I want to change from nocebo effects to placebo effects. I want to use food not as something that is harmful, but something that is fuel. No? I need to change my beliefs. And if I want to heal, because I was doing all these diets, not following a diet, I need to believe that is my psychological state, the reason why I experience pain. The reality is that I didn't believe all of that.
Yeah, that's the biggest difficulty.
So how do you change that thought? How do you change a belief? And actually sometimes I continue struggling with this. Because I was saying to myself, I need to believe this. I was forcing it. Like, I'm going to believe this because this is what I need to believe. If that's useful for someone, do it. Great. For me, I was struggling.
Yeah, it's stressful.
Like,
it's then creating pressure again.
Consciously, from my conscious mind, I was only bringing the thoughts that I want to have, and the beliefs I want to have. But energetically and subconsciously, they were fake.
Yeah.
Like when
it was fake.
It was fake. And you can fake it until make it. I think that's part of the process.
Yeah, to keep repeating again and again.
But be aware that you are not going to believe it. And that is cool. Like, it's good, be skeptic.
Yeah.
And continue.
I mean, Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza talk about this. This same mechanism of reprogramming the subconscious. If you think about it, the subconscious mind is like 90% of you. You're like 10% is the conscious mind that you experience. The other beneath the surface is the 90% unconscious. And the unconscious is always ruling you in the background without you realizing. It's always dictating in the background. And those beliefs are coming from there. That's why you said earlier, when you're having dreams, if your dreams are erratic or stressful or fearful, you're waking up stressed, you're not feeling like you're sleeping well because your mind is still busy, that's the subconscious telling you about your state. And these beliefs about whatever it is that's creating these mechanisms of chronic stress and the behaviors that are a response to the mechanisms of chronic stress, that is something that can only really be truly navigated in the subconscious as well. So how do we start to change that? Like, I think it's a process of repeating again and again. How did these things get into the subconscious? So it's the same way that muscle memory works, right? When I first start learning to play piano, it's really awkward. I have to really think about every key I'm pressing and why and how and the timing of my left hand to my right hand. You're thinking about it so much. It's very much in the conscious. But the more you repeat the behavior again and again and again, it becomes subconscious. It becomes muscle memory. And then you sit in front of a piano and I can have a chat with you whilst I'm playing Mozart. And it's easy. That is because the transfer from conscious to unconscious, it comes first from a conscious input, a conscious processing that becomes subconscious as a mechanism of saving time and energy. The subconscious is there to prevent us from wasting a lot of energy on things that we have presumed to be certainties. That's why the mind generalizes, deletes, and distorts information based on past experiences to save us from wasting energetic time thinking about everything. Like if I had to process everything all the time, like when you're a baby, you're getting all this stimulation, it's really overwhelming. It becomes less overwhelming over time because your brain starts to sort out, okay, this is white, this is black, this is good, this is bad, this is painful, this is not painful, this is pleasant. You start to sort out all of these beliefs and it becomes a subconscious program. And that subconscious program was created first by the input of the conscious mind. So the only way that you can change that conscious program is by constantly trying to shift the way the conscious mind is processing the information of the world around you. As much as that sucks, like there's this whole thing when you first wake up in the morning, you're in this like hypnotic state. Bruce Lipton talks about this a lot, and I think Joe Dispenza as well. You're in this hypnotic state where you're in like a theta brainwave, where you're still coming out of the dream state. You're kind of coming out of this state of being in the subconscious communication. And then you go to the mirror and you say, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, looking yourself in the eyes like 10, 15, 20 times. And it feels really awkward, but you're talking to the subconscious mind a little bit more in that moment. And you're allowing that program to start seeping in. And it doesn't feel good at first. At first it feels like, oh, this is gross. This is cringy, this is gross. What if someone hears me? This is so awkward. There's all these thoughts coming in. But the reality is, it is shifting something in the subconscious. And you have all of these muscle repetitions of doing bicep curls for maybe 3-4 decades of beliefs that are negative about yourself. That muscle is very strong. To build a new muscle, you have to repeat. You have to do the left arm instead of the right arm now. It's going to take a long time, but it will change eventually. Do you agree with that? Would you feel like that's like a good analogy?
No. I think it's a great analogy. I will complement repetition. Like the difficult part, I will like to add a complement and bring awareness about the challenges of repetition. The thing is that when you are trying to change your belief consciously, like for example, I will give a specific example, like gluten, my body is good, it's not dependent on the food. Gluten is not my enemy. My body is safe and I don't need to do specific routines. Or I can sit down as long as I want. Or these are some examples of my beliefs that I'm in the process of changing. When you want to change these beliefs and you start changing them, and with the food, I will give you one of my strongest one was related and continuing with food. Then, at some point, the problem is that you don't believe it.
Yeah.
And you are thinking, I'm saying bullshit to myself. And the day that you feel like shit, like the day that you're having a lot of pain, or the day that you don't love yourself and you go to the mirror and you say,
confirms the old belief.
It's like, what I am doing here?
Yeah.
This is pointless.
Yeah.
This is pointless. This is not working. And to be aware of that can take days or weeks. Months.
Years.
Yeah. Maybe years, no.
No, you don't think so?
No, I don't think years. I will say, no, I don't think years. I will say, I will be surprised if it takes more than 3 months.
Okay.
To really start to see impact in any type of change of your beliefs. And normally the time that I have seen within my experiments. But to be aware of that because they can that moments. And emotionally they can be like, that is the point of throwing the towel? How do you say?
Yeah. Throwing the towel in. Yeah.
Like, I give up. No?
Yeah.
And that's the moment to continue.
Yes.
And my way of continue is being aware that that is going to happen and continue even you don't believe on the trick. Continue, chill, and be welcoming of your skepticism. Be welcoming.
It's almost like you're teaching yourself behind the scenes of the magic trick.
Yeah.
But now that you're starting to see what's behind the magic trick, there's a part of you that's like, no, it was magic. It was magic for sure. You're like, oh, this is how it works? No. You know?
And there is this, but it's important to access to this emotional state.
Yeah.
Because if repetition is, you are repeating this, but you are like a closed pistachio, you will have to repeat many times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There is something about repeating and
it cracks it open slowly more and more.
And getting softer.
Yeah.
And for getting softer, for me, like, chill. I don't even have to believe it. But really, chill.
Yeah.
Don't force. Whatever is your state in that moment is the right state. You are having fear while you are saying that. If you hate yourself, well, chill, not fight.
Just chill.
And say, I love you, and I love you, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And that day, it's so difficult to believe on that. My case, like, my body is safe, I am healthy, my body have all the qualities to recover naturally. There is nothing bad structurally. The food is not influencing my way of being. And even though that day I'm having a lot of pain, or just chill.
Yeah.
Chill. And using time in your favor, not against you. Because this type of thing is like growing a plant.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to nurture it, prune it.
Put the water,
give it
let
the
it sun,
light.
and chill.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do it in 2 days.
Yeah, you have to wait.
So
You have to
easy,
wait.
and so easy in 9
This is not going to change like that.
No.
Yeah, but then also, we value that process more when we're okay with the fact that it's not going to happen straight away. I mean, again, like looking at the process you've gone in your life from, I mean, a lot of success, but probably also a lot of hypertension, a lot of suppressing, a lot of not allowing yourself to feel the emotions, to then, you know, getting to the extreme of the chronic back pain and depression, then one day feeling great and having this kind of bipolar experience. Like your body was screaming at you that something needed to change. And the fact that you you had the courage to take that step to change and walk away from that and go traveling and experience the world, meet new people and learn a new way. I mean, now you're living your life very differently, right? Like you're working 1 day a week at this point.
I work the minimum possible.
Yeah.
I work money-making days.
Yeah, money-making days.
Money-making days.
Yes.
I have experimental days, adventure days, and money-making days. Money-making days are based on my finance. Experimental days are based on finding my ikigai, and experimenting and trying things based on my passions. And adventure days are days for doing adventures and not touching the computer.
I love that. So do you feel like we touched enough on the process of ikigai, or do you want to talk about that briefly? Because I think it will lead on to my final question that I really want to ask you. I mean, we could talk for hours longer, but...
No, please, let's go. But you want to go with the final question if you feel like?
I think it is related, but I always like to touch on like this topic in this conversation with all my guests is if you could have like a formula for a fulfilling life that feels good for you, then what is that formula that you could give someone based on your experience so far?
I don't have a formula yet. Maybe never. What I will say is fulfilling. I will start with a level that is a good life, like a peaceful life.
I think that's fulfilling.
Not suffering and like being in peace. For me, that is like the ground. Right there, you can even make it more fulfilling. It feels like for me is reducing the amount, like developing self-awareness, such in a way that we can discover all the needs that they don't need to be covered. Reducing the amount of needs and desires psychologically to the minimum. With that, you will do 90% of the work. Instead of trying to cover that externally, but by changing your understanding and self-reflection and self-awareness, reducing the amount of desires and psychological needs, that will bring you to a more chill state. And also, you will need less work to do because you will need to shape reality less in any way that you want to shape reality. And then that will give you focus to the things that you want to shape. And now we are only playing with a 10%. So this is going to be less work with more focus. Increasing the probability of success in the 10% and the speed in the 10%, and everything will be work more fluently in the 10%. And you can do it from a more relaxed state. And normally I will say this 10% will be whatever is more passionate for you, or things that maybe are structural, like covering your house. If you have some type of illness, like you need this safety, you need, like, I hope you are not in big pain physically. It's possible also to have a fulfilling life with even the pain, but it's easier without. And managing good the basics, I think that's enough. The basics is your health, being mindful, and like overthinking. When you find yourself like in your mind is normally automatically thinking, if that is all the time an extreme, I think it's impossible to have a fulfilling life.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
chilling the mind. So it's like a laser, ideal. No, that you use it when you want. And when you don't, it's not lose, because if not, you're going to lose 80% of your energy.
On things that are not important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing, like you're losing energy, physical, healthy, like you're physically losing your life force. And also acting from courage, not fear-based. Like
And
fear
trust.
and trust. Yeah. Acting a little bit more from courage and trust. Like, okay, I will go one step to the front. And developing that and bringing that playfulness. It becomes easier when it feels like a game.
Yeah, it's true.
Like a game. Like making a business can be like a game.
Doesn't have to be so serious.
Oh no. You know what? If this is the Monopoly, is the,
Yeah.
and you want to play the game, cool. Play as a game.
Don't take it so heavy.
Don't take it so heavy. Don't take it as my life depends on that. You know, because you did previously the psychological work. You know that your life don't depend on that. You heal 90%. Doing the game is part of the 10%. And now you can play. And you know that you have a 90% of safety that is within you. You don't need too much. You know, finding joy, even though you have a lot, finding joy in little things, like laying on the floor and eating a banana with your hands.
Having a cuddle with someone you love.
Having a cuddle with someone
Feeling
you
the
love.
sun on your face.
Yeah. If you don't have access to that pleasures, I don't think you will never have a fulfilling life. I don't believe anyone can have a fulfilling life if they are not able to enjoy an avocado with their hands in the floor or a banana, or cuddling under the sun.
Yeah, just the little things, right?
Drinking a fresh coconut.
Coconuts, yeah. Yeah.
Touching the sun. It doesn't mean that you are going to do only that.
Yeah, but you have to be able to enjoy the foundation, right?
Getting a swim.
Yeah.
Having a walk. If you have access to that, you will feel that there is not too much what you need.
Yeah.
And everything becomes secondary. And you can play the secondary game.
It becomes for fun.
And you do it for fun.
Yeah, but it's not necessary for you to feel happy and fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with purpose, I think the same. We didn't cover it today, but there was a moment 4 years ago, that I created like an NGO, a philanthropic organization for for bringing fundings through crypto to mental health NGOs. And I did it that because I want a happier world.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to make people happy.
Mm.
It was beautiful. But at the same time, this time, instead of looking like I thought I would be happier, instead of by doing more money as the years before, by having social impact, I will be happy.
You're trying to find that purpose outside of you.
And it's not the
Yeah.
case. I mean, it's super cool if I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need it to have a fulfilling life.
Exactly.
I don't need it to be in peace.
Mm.
The less you need, the easier it gets.
Mm.
And then everything is like a game.
Yeah, and I think ironically then you also have a bigger impact in many ways.
I think so.
Yeah, because when you're not coming from a place of striving to have impact for the sake of the reputation or whatever, but you're coming to have an impact because, yeah, you're just having fun. Oh, this is a great idea. Let's explore it. And you're feeling at ease in yourself. You're not putting so much pressure on it. I think you have a bigger impact in that way because also things flow more. They flow more. When you're coming from this place of pressure and I need to change the world in order to be good enough, you're still kind of in many ways glorifying that same mechanism of like changing the way that you're perceiving the world, changing yourself in order to get validation in some way. You're not having that internal sense of safety. And I think that internal sense of safety, that inner freedom, you know, which is like the whole purpose of this the whole purpose of this podcast is that inner freedom it's the light that ignites everything else in your life to happen. When you have that inner ground, that inner center, that inner knowing that you are the creative force in your life, you make everything happen, you are safe in you. Then everything else that happens is just for fun. Everything else that happens that you do, it's not to make you feel like you're good enough or to prove something or to earn some karma points that are going to make you worthy of getting into the next life or whatever. It's just you playing. And actually when you're coming from this place of center in yourself, you choose more loving things anyway, because you don't need all this unnecessary stuff to make you feel safe. Actually, the most generous people are the ones who feel comfortable and safe in their situation. They're like, yeah, I feel safe in myself. I can take $50, whatever. And you need it more than I do. You know, it's someone who's able to let go and accept in that moment that they are not depending on this external thing. There's something really beautiful about that. And I think that makes us more generous. I think it makes us more loving. I think it makes us more impactful in our lives. But when we're kind of feeling this tension, that tension also is a taking energy as well in many ways.
There is this word is clinging.
Clinging. Yes.
We can, if you are clinging too much, clinging, no?
Clinging, yeah.
You lose it.
You lose it.
Even
yeah.
if you get everything. Because clinging becomes an attitude.
Yes.
And it's never ending.
Mm-hmm.
If you cling, and you will cling for relationship, for money, for health, for success, for knowledge.
For knowledge, yeah.
You know, you can cling to anything.
It's never
The
ending.
clinging attitude,
Yeah.
that is that also that reinforces the feeling of depending of all that external factors. So if we are able to detach from that by checking our judgments. Our judgments is under control. It's our beliefs of what is good, what is bad, what I need, what I don't. Checking our judgments. Playing with that. Finding the better judgments for our lives. So we can accept difficult things. So we can be open to checking our judgments. Knowing our values. And acting aligned. Because also I think there is always this, for me, acting in virtue is very important.
Yeah, integrity.
Yeah.
Super important.
And it can be in the small.
Yeah.
It can be when you finish a cigarette and you throw it to the floor.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't like to throw things on the floor. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You know? This creates like a negative or positive loop for me. Like judgment, values, and actions. That we can play with that. And it's not too much what we need.
No.
And
it's
then it's not. And releasing the fear of, like, I think I have fear also to say there is not too much I need because I want to have a lot.
Yeah.
But that is holding me back to experiencing more freedom.
Yeah.
And then we can do amazing things.
Yeah.
If you are not afraid of death,
if
you are not afraid of not having money,
that's real freedom.
who can manipulate you? What?
Yeah, that's real freedom.
You're free as fuck.
Yeah, that's the thing. The ironic thing is the more that we strive for these external and material things to make ourselves feel free, the more they trap us. You know that expression, the more things you own, the more you own, the more the things own you. The less free you are. You know, when you have all the money, that money comes with extra problems. It comes with a bigger house, it comes with more cars, it comes with more pressure, it comes with relational dynamics changing because people know you have a lot of money. It comes with a lot of different aspects, having taxes and lawyers and people managing your money for you and all these things that you have to look after. And actually they become more things that are controlling how you can live your life. And if you feel like, okay, I don't need that, then it gives you the space to breathe a bit more. It doesn't mean you don't have it, but it just means you don't need it. You're not afraid to lose it. That means that you can have a moment when you say, I'm going to drop all of this and go travel the world for 6 years. And you can. And yeah, there's going to be a part of you that's afraid. But again, it goes back to what we were saying before. Can you feel that fear? Acknowledge it. But then I think there's a piece of like listening to your inner voice and the intuition that tells you, is this right for me or not?
Yeah.
You know, being an I can never say this word, what's it called? Philanthropist, being philanthropic and helping people with charity may not be the thing that calls you to be fulfilled. So don't say, oh, automatically I have to be Mother Teresa in order to be fulfilled. Therefore, I'm going to be Mother Teresa, or I have to be the Buddha and renounce everything and go live in an ashram. That might not be your thing. Listen to your intuition, right? And like, pay attention to like what calls you. Maybe it's dancing on the stage in Broadway, not because you want to be famous, but because you love to share the art of dancing with people. You know, whatever it is for you, it doesn't really matter. But I think it's that calling with the intuition, and like you said, the values, listening to yourself. This combination is something really beautiful, I think.
Yeah. And if I have to simplify also in terms of action, something that is actionable, I will say meditate, act, and reflect.
Yeah, I like that. Meditate, act, reflect.
Because by meditation, you will gain clarity.
Yeah.
Of where to go, of your intuition, and it will feel, your life will feel easier.
Yeah.
Act, because we are creative humans.
Yeah.
And you have some talents. You know, express them.
Things that we are curious about.
Yeah.
Follow it.
Do it with playful attitude, with courage. Act. Reflect. What happened today? How I feel after this act. How I feel after this conversation. Normally I say to myself, what I celebrate, what I would like to improve. Opportunities to improve and celebrations. I like to find 3.
That's a good balance.
Yeah. And every day there are always opportunity of reflection. And then the next morning, meditate. You know? Act and reflect. I don't say do this super structure like, but these 3 things,
nice
if you bring it quite frequently in your life, almost on a daily basis, weekly, meditate. Meditate is to be. If you don't like to meditate, dance. I don't know. Something where you don't think.
Yeah.
In the body.
Meditation is also the act of creating awareness, present awareness. Right?
Yeah. I would recommend meditation.
Yeah, me too. I recommend it to everybody.
Meditate a little bit. Meditate, act, and reflect.
Yeah.
That will be, and you will discover your path. You know, I think I hear that in the Japanese volleyball team, they become, I don't know if it's Japan, I don't want to be sure, but you will get the point in any case. But the volleyball team, they become super good suddenly in 3-4 years by changing the training method. And the training method was based on that they put a camera and they have a screen and they see themselves 10 seconds before. So whenever you are playing, you can check and you will see what you did.
Wow, that's crazy.
So it's not with a coach. You are your coach.
Wow, that's so crazy.
And it was working like crazy. So,
why?
Because you know what is better. And when you can watch yourself, you can see that.
Interesting.
That's why reflection, I think, is so important. For me, reflection is like that screen 10 seconds before, you know? So, and then it's like iterative. You know, in a startup,
iterative.
Iterative. Bring the evolution is iterative. Like we have these complex mechanisms because we have been live iterations during millions of years.
Yeah.
And we have humans that will create iPhones without that. It happened naturally.
Yeah.
So if you bring this iteration in your life, meditation, action, reflection, I think that's, and if you want to make a living, that's for self-growth.
Yeah.
If you want to make a living, I have another loop. That is learn, do, and share.
Yeah.
Learn whatever you're curious. practice,
Embody.
embody that.
Yeah.
Because if not, it's only theory.
Yeah, exactly.
Embody, do it. And share that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's business.
Do your podcast, do your content. Learn more. Do, embody, and share. That's what I'm doing with my healing process. So that are my two frameworks for taking action, for self-growth and for career growth.
Beautiful. I think that's a great place to end. Thank you. I mean, there's so much more we could have talked about, but I think we can have another podcast when I'm in South America, or if I see you in Dominican Republic or something. We're both nomads, so we'll definitely cross paths again very soon.
I would love to do it in South America.
Yeah, that would be cool. And we can talk about the process so far. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. You're amazing. I love you.
I love you.